the Evergreen Media Network studios. Brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Broadcasting from the Evergreen Media Network studios in Vero Beach, Florida. It's Huntin with Heather.
Hey y'all, welcome to Huntin with Heather. I am your host, Heather Hawk. This is season 1, episode 4. Thank you all to have come back to listen to another episode, and welcome to those who, if this is your first one. This show is dedicated to all those who love to hunt, love the outdoors, and those who want to learn more. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or a green hunter, this show is going to be packed full of information. We're going to talk deer, turkey, hogs, and everything in between. And of course, you can't forget about those stories, the stories that keep us coming back for more. So grab a seat, sit back, and talk hunting with Heather. Before I introduce my guest today, I would like to give a shout out to my sponsor, All Star Plumbing, for all your commercial and residential plumbing services. So today, my guest, I am so glad to have him on, Mr. Jim Barrett, and he just prides himself in his family, and I know the Lord as well. And so I am grateful to have him on. I got to talk to him the other day, and I just can't wait. You guys wait till you hear the stories and everything. So without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Jim Barrett. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about you. Like, where are you from? What do you do for a living? Yeah, what's...
Okay, well, I'm a Floridian.
All right.
Born in Williston, Florida.
Okay.
Out in the country.
Okay.
Raised by a Floridian. And my grandpa raised me. And I grew up in Fort Pierce. And then I spent a little bit of time on the Southwest Florida, Naples, Fort Myers. But mainly Fort Pierce, college in Lakeland. Came back and started my family in 1980 in Vero Beach. I owned Jim Beard Cabinets. And that's what I started back in that day. And here I am, 40 years later.
So if they need to get a hold of you for the cabinets, let's just say, I know we're talking hunting, but of course, if they need to get a hold of you, what's the number?
772-569-0936.
Awesome. Okay. So let's get into hunting, because this is our jam, and fishing. He is an avid fisherman as well. But let's get into hunting. So who got you started into hunting? Like, how did you come about with that?
My first memories of hunting was on top of my grandpa's shoulders, him carrying me through the woods.
That's
my
awesome.
Grandpa.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Now, that was over in
That was right here.
Oh, it was okay.
It was actually my first memories. I was thinking about it. In Stewart, there's the South Fork of the St. Lucie River.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the North Fork, which comes to Fort Pierce. Well, the South Fork, kind of commercialized now, but when I was a little kid, close to 60 years ago, it was wild. And we would put the boat in on Friday afternoon, go way up the river, put the campsite out,
Mm-hmm.
go set the trot lines out at night, come back, cook dinner, fish the whole next day. I mean, I'm 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, and my bigger brother, and we would eat the catfish, eat all the fish, bring some back. I remember that at 4 or 5 years old, my grandpa. And then we would go to Fish Eating Creek. And at that time, it was a management area.
Mm-hmm.
And every Thanksgiving, we spent the entire Thanksgiving. So as soon as we finished eating the meal at Thanksgiving, you know, a lot of guys from Vero go to South Georgia.
Right,
and
exactly.
on Thanksgiving Day, all their trucks are going by. My wife is from Georgia, and they go right by her house. And I go, that's the whole parade of mostly Vero Beach guys.
Absolutely.
Okay, mine, it was Fish Eating Creek with my grandpa and my family. So
I love it.
Those are the memories of, and then fishing. I mean, if we went somewhere, we had a fishing pole in the back of the truck, and if it looked like a good pond or a lake, we got out there and
which there's plenty of them around, so why not, right?
Yes.
So the canal, ditch,
and we
wherever.
ate everything that we caught.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was dual purpose, and whatever we hunted, we ate.
So did you small game hunt a lot? I mean, like, did you guys do a lot of squirrel hunting here, or was that kind of?
My very first memory of hunting was with the Springfield 22 single shot with my grandpa, and I shot my first squirrel in Levy County, Florida. near Chiefland.
Oh, fancy.
That's where he was from.
Oh, okay.
It was like shooting an elk.
Right.
I mean, literally,
right.
when I shot that squirrel, I thought I had arrived. It was the most
my
exciting
gosh.
moment of my life.
It is.
I remember it to this day. I remember the tree. So then we continued to squirrel hunt.
Now, did you ever do rabbit hunting?
I did some rabbit hunting in Southwest Florida.
Do you like to eat rabbit? Or
I do like
yeah,
it.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Right. Like rabbit stew, right? I hear that's
Fried
really
rabbit.
Good. Or fried rabbit.
With a little bit of gravy on it.
Everything fried with gravy, I say, is good.
Yes.
It's definitely approved here.
And then
from
especially with the squirrels, we'd put a little frying on it, but then you got to stew it some.
Right.
And then the gravy and the rice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So now, as you grew up with hunting and you've now passed it on to your kids and your grandkids.
Correct.
And I know you really, really pride yourself in that because you love just how much they have fun in it, and that's what it's about.
Yep.
So what are some of the things they like about it? What do they, I know we talked about that the other day, whether it's just going through the mud puddles or...
Let me back up to my boys.
Yes, let's talk
Patrick's my oldest son, 40 years old. Caleb, he's 30.
Right.
And when they were younger, I shot archery competitively, and I shot all over the country. And I shot ASA Archery Shooters Association. Well, Patrick jumped in with me. He wanted to be like his dad. Well, we shot all over the state. We went everywhere, and that was his introduction into some of the outdoors.
Sure.
And he was one of the best in the world.
Now, was it compound?
Compound.
Compound, okay.
And he was, we would go to the NFAA, the ASA, and the IBO.
Nice.
And he was one of the top in the world. And it drove him to such a place that we started bow hunting at an early age, because once he started shooting, was very proficient at shooting. At 8 years old, he's shooting his first hog. At 9 years old, he's in the tree stand shooting his first deer. So, and then Caleb later on, 10 years later, he's following right in the same. And he and I had our little stint where we went and competitive shot.
Okay.
And both my sons were top shooters in the country. Well, not only that, when we hunted, that's all we wanted to do is bow hunt. So when they were young, 9, 10 years old, they were already harvesting hogs, deer. So I was surprised at how well they picked it up. In fact, my son, Caleb, I thought, we can be guilty sometimes as parents into pushing something on our kids and dragging them along and even living our lives through them.
Sure.
And when my son, Caleb, was 16 years old, he got a little Ranger pickup truck. And I couldn't go hunting. There was something that came up.
Right.
And Caleb goes, well, I'm going. It's 220 miles to my lease in Levy County from Vero. He took off and went by himself, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, this kid really loves it.
Yeah.
So that was just a special memory, knowing that, it wasn't just me.
Because of you, he's
it was
doing this.
them. And both of them have lived their whole life that way. They went on multiple trips without me to multiple different places.
Yeah. I mean, and I can see that because when you get that bug, and they must have got that bug really early, right?
Oh,
so when you get that bug, it's just what you do. So just like anybody else. But honestly, I have played sports in my life, but nothing compares to hunting. This is just for me. Just the win, or even not the win, just that getting a shot or almost getting a shot, just that feeling of, it's just amazing. And so I just love it. And I'm sure that's exactly why they were like, hey, Dad, all right, I'm going to go without you.
Well, it is something that you can't hardly get enough of. And every single time you have a deer come 10, 15 yards from you and you're bow hunting, the adrenaline comes up, your heart's beating.
Even if you know you're not going to shoot it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like,
And it's just the anticipation. It's watching the does or the little bucks. I mean, there is something about it that even though there's a fulfillment when you do harvest an animal, there's a real desire to continue.
Absolutely. Because, and it starts literally from the prepping in the beginning and everything. It's not just when you're in the tree stand. Right. I mean, everything that you've worked up to that moment, or even like I was up in Georgia, North Georgia this past weekend, and lots of deer, several bucks, no shooters, but just seeing them, like I did get a doe, but I mean, just to see them, it was, man, like you just, like, I love it. And it's so exciting. So I want to talk a little bit real quick. I'm going to like segue here about your past weekend, because you had a phenomenal weekend with your grandkids and your sons, and you got the trifecta of Florida, we're going to say, and the turkey.
My grandchildren
Right, the
got
grandchildren.
the trifecta.
Yes, so your grandchildren
Which is
did.
even better than my sons getting the trifecta.
I know.
And way better than me getting the
I
trifecta. My sons and I had already harvested 4 bucks this year. We did that opening weekend.
Really? I did not
Patrick
know
killed
that.
2 bucks. Caleb killed a buck. I shot a buck.
All right.
Of course, my buck was a little bigger than theirs.
Yeah. Of course.
They may
right?
argue with me later,
Yeah,
but,
like
but
the fish.
I got the horns
fish
to prove
yeah,
it.
no, it's good.
Okay. And then we brought Maddox up and Trevor, my 2 sons, grandsons from Patrick. Again, Zeke was busy with ball right now because he's in the ball.
Yep.
So he'll be up pretty soon to do it. And well, last year they all harvested off. Well,
great.
both my 2 young ones harvested hogs, and one harvested a turkey, 6 years old. But now at 7 years old, we've got Maddox in the stand with his dad, and we've got Trevor in the stand with me. Well, on the Saturday morning, Trevor shot a really nice gobbler. And the gobbler was
awesome.
really pretty cool. In fact, that's what we had for dinner.
I know. I
Tuesday
saw that.
night.
It was so good.
So he was stoked because, you know, how many people out there have never killed, caught, or gathered their food?
Their food.
Their idea of food is out of a fridge or out of a case.
Right.
And they wouldn't know what to do if it was empty.
Yeah.
We know what to do.
And so he got to have
so
that
he
little
got the
bit of
turkey,
moment of,
And then later that evening, we're hunting for hogs and on a feeder then. And the hog was supposed to come in early because there's been some hogs keeping our deer off. And the hogs didn't come. But I didn't figure they smelled us. And Trevor got to the point that he's like, Dad, Grandpa, this ain't going to happen. I said, the last hour's the best.
That's right. The prime
and he's sitting
time.
there and he's like, he's kind of nodding out. He's tired. He got up early that morning hunting. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I look out the side of the corner, and I'm in a ground blind. And I'll talk more about that in a minute.
Yep.
And we're sitting in this ground blind. He's 15 years old, and he's already killed 3 bucks. He's been hunting.
Yes.
We're using a crossbow.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I see outside, here comes a nice big boar hog. So I kind of nudge him, and he gets it ready, and thump, he shoots him.
Good shot.
And he runs off, and we found the arrow and some sign, so we got out of there. Well, meanwhile, I get a call from my son, and Maddox, my 7-year-old grandson now, he shot his first doe, which was pretty cool.
Heck yeah,
So
that's
he
awesome.
shoots this doe, they trail it up, they find it, they load it up. Another friend of ours, Rex Haley, who lives here in Vero, he shot a doe the same evening, so we helped. So now we've got
Man, you
these
guys are busy.
2. Yeah, we was pretty cool. So by the time we got back to camp, and we got them all cleaned and went back out and found the hog, it was midnight. So it was, but it was neat because we got the gobbler, we got the big hog, and we got the
fantastic. So that was a very busy night back at camp.
Very.
But the exciting night. All right, so we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more. It's just really getting started. I'm super excited here, so we'll break right now.
When it comes to service, All Star Plumbing gets all 5 stars. In fact, here's a real 5-star review.
After having 2 leaks in our copper pipes, we decided to have our home repiped by All Star Plumbing. All Star did the repiping and also arranged for someone to cut, patch, and repaint the drywall. We are very pleased and highly recommend them.
For faucet installation, plumbing leak detection, and pipe repair, in addition to new construction, repiping, remodel, and all other plumbing services, call 772-794-9611. All Star Plumbing.
As time goes by, our parents naturally need a little extra support with their day-to-day tasks and personal care. Visiting Angel Angels offers many services, including medication reminders, meal preparation, light housekeeping, or even quality companionship. Our experienced caregivers at Visiting Angels provide your loved one the opportunity to stay safely in the comfort of their home. Have peace of mind knowing your loved ones are in the best hands. Visiting Angels, Senior Home Care by Angels. Visit tcoastangels.com.
Paris Family Chiropractic understands after a long day in the woods, tracking and hunting, your back might be crying out louder than a call to the wild. Paris Family Chiropractic specializes in back, neck, and shoulder pain relief, carpal tunnel, disc injury treatment, headaches and migraines, sciatica treatment, and so much more. Get back to your prime hunting form. Visit ParisFamilyChiro.com and schedule your appointment today. Paris Family Chiropractic, Vero Beach. Welcome to Riverside Theater, where musicals and plays dazzle and amaze, and where kids can learn the craft from pros. Riverside Theater for Kids allows students to develop as actors year-round. Riverside's Comedy Zone features stand-up comedy, a hilarious way to spend a Friday or Saturday. Riverside's Live in the Loop is an outdoor concert voted #1 for weekend fun. And on the big stage, Riverside Theater's all-new season is set, with season and single tickets on sale now. Discover more at riversidetheater.com.
Welcome back to Huntin' with Heather. So today my guest is Jim Barrett, and we've been talking a lot of hunting, of course. And so let me just ask you, if you're a new hunter, or someone's new hunting or fishing, anything in the outdoors, anything that you would recommend? Like, what are some things, maybe if they have kids, anything like that? Because I know that that's super important to you.
Sure.
Having the kids and involving the kids.
Well, there's a lot of adults who never hunted. They never fished. And then they get their children, they're like, I want to introduce them. So the best way to learn is from another person. You don't, you can do all the book knowledge, you can watch TV shows, and as much as they try to introduce you to it, partnering up with a person, when it comes to fishing, hire a guide.
Yeah.
Hire a local guide. And what you can learn in a 4-hour trip or an 8-hour trip, inshore, offshore, would take you months, if not years, to learn on your own.
Very true.
And then you go back and you try to mimic it, okay? Well, when it comes to hunting, it's very similar. You partner up, offer to go help them with their feeders. If you're a newcomer and you want to get into it, we all will take extra help.
Sure.
And then we're willing to trade our help, like, planting a food plot, feeding up feeders. Bring your son, your 12-year-old or 14-year-old son, and let them harvest a doe or harvest an animal. But let me stop for a moment, because all this whole time I've been introducing my children and my grandchildren, I've never taking a life for granted. And I don't want, my wife shot archery with me for years, but she had no desire to take the life of a deer.
Right.
And I didn't push her. I've never pushed my grandchildren. I never pushed my boys.
Right.
If they wanted to harvest an animal, but I gave them the importance of it. And I think a lot of our TV shows show that very well. They go up there and they respect the animal.
Yes.
So what happens is, when people come into my life, I think that what I can pour into mentor them is the best way they can learn. So it's kind of a mentorship.
Sure.
If you pay for it through a guide, an outfitter, or if you do it through friendship and it becomes a partnership, and then you go somewhere with it. And you'll find out pretty quick if they're cut out for it, enjoy it.
Yep. So. And they will too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, they'll either like it, they're like, okay, I want to get more, or they'll be like, not for me. Or maybe they are and their kids aren't, or maybe they're not and their kids are.
We all know people who buy a boat.
Yes.
Thinking they're going to get into it.
Yep.
And it's a good deal about 6 months later on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't for them.
No.
And they think, I'll buy a boat or I'll get in a hunting lease.
Yeah.
And it's a one-time deal and I'm selling my camp trailer.
Yeah.
Because, no, go with a friend. Go find somebody that can show you the ropes, and you'll figure out pretty quick if this was exciting.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't.
And you know what's really around here, so I have to say, even if someone doesn't have private land, because it's hard to come by, it is kind of pricey around here, but there's a lot of public land that you can hunt here. We have a couple leases, but we still hunt the public area around here. So grab a friend, go out there. If maybe someone's hunted before, maybe a little bit, go out there, read the brochure, read the information. There's tons of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you don't have someone that maybe hunts, you can find everything online nowadays. Sure. You can go to my FWC or My Florida Outdoors, and find there's things on youth hunts there and mentoring.
There's a lot of social media.
Yes, I agree.
You can just reach out.
Yep.
And there's maybe not but 1/3 of the people that are on that social media that are interested, but there are those that will go, hey, here's a private message, sure. Give me a ring.
Yeah. And I see it all the time. I am in a lot of on social media, and a lot of women's, different sites and stuff. And it's really cool to see more women that are being involved. Now, this is all over the country, but they're like, hey, I'm new at this. I really want to get out there. I really want to. And it's so cool to see people be like, these women are like, hey, where do you live? And in what general area, whatever, like, come hunt with me. You want to come hunt with me? Come on. I'll show you, all these different things. So it's possible. So if you're really wanting to get into the outdoors, fishing, like he said, get a guide. I mean, maybe they're a little more expensive the first time, but it's okay. It's worth it. Like he said, you're going to get basically a pro's tips, watching him, all those things. So why not? And there's a lot of places that do special hunts around here that you can, Okeechobee or all over Florida. So if you're interested in that, look them up. Get out there, see if you like it.
And one of the reasons to get someone who's already gone through the ropes,
right?
If they're good, they're going to make it fun.
That's right.
They're going to make it fun for your children.
Yep.
They're going to address the needs of who their clients are or their friends are, and they're going to, they're very mindful of that. A lot of time they've already mentored their own children,
right?
So now they kind of know this kid's coming in. Like, for instance, don't go a big 50 wide Penn International pole if you're going to go catch brim.
Right.
You get a cane pole.
Right.
And they know that, and they want to make it enjoyable.
Yes.
One thing we did years ago, and I do it with all the kids that come now. When I first started, we were sitting in tree stands with nothing around us. And my kids had to sit totally still.
Yeah.
And, don't ask Patrick, but me and him probably had some moments.
Right, of course.
Cough, move.
Oh, yeah.
He moved his leg and it was gone.
Right.
Well, now we hunt out of ground blinds with the kids.
Right.
It's safer, and it's something I just learned. And they even see it as something neat.
Yeah.
It's a neat thing. And see, that's what you pick up on, those who've known the ropes. And even with guides, I've talked to inshore guides in the river that fish. They see it as a glorified boat ride, but there's a lot of things that they introduce them to that make it fun.
Absolutely.
Instead of them being bored. The main thing, I did something years ago when I taught people archery. When I took a kid to shoot archery, I'd put them 5 feet in front of the biggest bullseye I could find.
So they were pretty sure to get it. Right.
The center.
Right.
I positioned them to succeed. Some guys would go, I'm putting my kid at 30 yards, and I'm going to give him that kind of,
right.
And he'll be the best there. No, he won't, because he's going to be disappointed because you position him to fail.
Right.
And that's a big principle in my life with teaching and introducing the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's something that's been big for me.
So I love that. And that's super important. And I'm grateful for my husband for mentoring me. Thank you, John, because he was great for a whole year. I mean, I just went with him and he was very good. So we're going to have to wrap up the show. So give me a tip, or give a fellow hunter or outdoorman a tip. What would you want them to know?
The tip that I want, when you go into the woods, or if you go to the ocean, you go to the river or the marsh, pay attention to the things that have absolutely nothing to do with the harvest. Look at the flowers that are growing in the swamp.
Yes.
Take a picture of them. Pick one for your family. When you're out in the ocean, pay attention to the turtles or the manta rays or the porpoises. Those are the things that I brought people from out of state, and they come back and talk about that more than what we caught. And in the woods, you know, let the kids pay attention to the squirrels playing and the raccoon coming by and all that. And then what you do is you are successful, regardless if you harvest an animal or not. That's my tip.
Well, I thank you for that. Yes. And I do that myself too. Yes. I just enjoy not just the animals, but all of nature. Thank you so much for coming on my show. Like, we could talk more, and I hope to have you on again. I would love to have you on again. Thank you all for listening, and I love y'all. Be good, be well, and go get outdoors. See you later.